The rain fell for 7 days and 7 nights. The dry land drank until it was full. The brown hills turned green again. Birds returned to the trees, and rivers flowed like they were singing. The people of Obins were happy. They danced. They praised the gods. But deep in their hearts, they knew the truth. The rain did not come from the sky. It came from Sarah, the girl they had thrown to the snakes. Sarah returns to the village after the rain. Sarah stayed in the village. But she did not live in the houses. She still slept under the trees near the edge of the forest. She spoke only when needed. She did not seek revenge. She smiled at the children and gave food to the hungry. But strange things began to happen. Every evening, snakes came too. Her side, not 1, not 2, sometimes 10 or more. They crawled near her feet. They circled her in silence. Some even climbed onto her shoulders, but they never hurt her, and they never hurt anyone near her. One day, a young boy tried to chase a small snake away with a stick. The snake hissed and lifted its head, but Sarah spoke calmly. He is just a child. He does not understand. The snake dropped its head and slid back into the bush. The villagers watched in fear and wonder. The chief called his guards and said, "Keep your eyes on her. We do not know what she truly is." Whispers and warnings. The people began to whisper again. She must be a spirit. Maybe she is the daughter of the snake god. What if she curses us again? Even though Sarah had brought the rain, fear grew again like weeds. The chief called a secret meeting with the elders. "Okay, we made a mistake." One elder said, "We thought she was the problem. But she brought the rain." "Yes," said another, "but she also brought the snakes." The people are afraid. The chief said, "We cannot allow fear to grow. We must send her away." The second betrayal that night, while Sarah was asleep under the old tree, 5 men came quietly. They carried ropes and a large sack. They moved like thieves. They tied her hands again. They pushed her into the sack. Sarah woke up inside the darkness. She did not scream. She only whispered, "You are doing it again." The men did not answer. They carried her deep into the forest, past the snake pit, far beyond where hunters go. They left her there, tied to a tree, and ran back to the village. The snake's return morning came. Sarah sat with her back against the tree, her arms tied. She listened to the sounds of the forest, birds, monkeys, and fair-off drums. Then came the soft, low hiss, one by one. The snakes appeared. They came from the trees, from under the earth. From the river, they slid to her side. One snake, the big silver one, bit the rope. Sarah was free again. She stood slowly, and the snakes circled her like guards. She looked up at the sky and said, "I asked for no harm, but they bring harm again." The sky remained silent, but the trees began to shake. The air grew heavy, and the snakes hissed louder, not with anger, but with warning. The village in trouble. Back in the village, the sun rose high, but something felt wrong. The sky grew dark. Again, not with rain, but with clouds heavy like smoke. Birds flew away. Goats began to cry. Children clung to their mothers. Suddenly, the river that had just come back began to dry again in one day. The crops, green just yesterday, started turning yellow. The chief ran to the shrine. He poured palm oil on the ground, called the spirits, but the spirits were quiet. Then a child shouted, "The snakes! The snakes are coming!" From the hills, from the trees. From the very ground, snakes slithered toward the village, hundreds, thousands. But they did not bite. They simply stopped at the village. Edge, waiting, watching, and then Sarah appeared. The girl who spoke to the sky. She walked slowly, her eyes calm. Snakes followed her like soldiers behind a queen. The people fell to the ground in fear. "Please," they cried, "don't curse us. We are sorry. We were afraid." Sarah looked at them. "You threw me away 2 times, she said softly. "I asked for nothing. I gave you rain. I gave you peace. Yet you still hurt me." The people wept. The chief stepped forward, shaking. We were wrong. We thought you were evil, but you are not. Sarah looked at the sky, and then, with a voice stronger than thunder, she said, "If the earth wants peace, let peace come." Now the clouds opened, but this time no rain. Instead, sunlight. Golden, pure. The snakes lifted their heads, then slowly turned and disappeared into the forest. Sarah stood still. The village was quiet. Then she said, "I will not stay. This is not my home." "But you are blessed," someone cried. "Yes," she said. "But blessings do not belong where there is fear." She walked toward the forest and never returned. Years later, many years passed. The people of Obines never forgot the girl. They told her story to their children and their children's children. They built a small hut near the old tree where she used to sleep. They called it the House of Peace. Some say if you go there at night and listen closely, you will hear soft hissing sounds. And if your heart is pure, the snakes will not bite. They will guard you, just like they guarded her. Moral of the story: when your heart is clean, even the wildest creatures will protect you. Fear blinds people, but truth shines through. Do good, not because they see you, but because it's who you are. The storm was gone, but Esen's storm had just begun. The wind no longer roared. But something inside her chest would not stop moving. It was not fear. It was not sadness. It was something stronger. It was fire. She walked slowly through the village of Amua. The people stared at her. Some dropped their water pots. Some turned away. Some whispered, "She's alive." Others said, "It's her spirit." But Esen did not stop. She did not speak. She walked like someone carrying the weight of many years, but also with the strength of someone who had nothing left to lose. She went to the only place that still felt safe, the small home of Mama Chabundu, an old woman who used to live beside her childhood home. Mama Chabundu opened the door, shocked and wide-eyed. "Esen," she whispered, "child, is it really you?" Esen nodded, tears hiding in her eyes. "I have nowhere to go." Woman pulled her in and wrapped her in a warm cloth. She gave her food, a place to sleep, and something even greater, kind heart. But that night, when the fire was low and the sky was quiet, Esen asked softly, "Where is my sister? Where is Amaka?" Mama Chabundu grew silent. Her face changed. She stared at the fire for a long time before answering. "She came back after you were locked away." But she was not the same girl. Her eyes were dark. She did not laugh anymore. She avoided your compound. She never spoke your name. Esen's hands shook. "Why didn't she come for me? Why didn't she try to help?" "I don't know," the old woman said softly. "But there's more." Esen looked up quickly. "She has a child now, a daughter." Esen froze. "A child," she whispered. Mama Chabundu nodded. "A girl, about 5 years old. She looks just like you when you were small." Esen's heart dropped. Her breath stopped. The fire crackled as if trying to speak for her. "What is her name?" she asked. The answer came like a slap. "Her name is ... Ada." Esen stood up slowly. Her legs trembled. Her thoughts were racing. Her mind went back to the letter. The secret. The betrayal. Could it be? Could her own sister have taken something even greater from her? That night she could not sleep. Heart was full of broken pieces. But in the morning, she rose. She washed her face. She tied her hair. She looked at her reflection in the water pot. "I will face her," she said to herself. "She will tell me the truth." Amaka lived in a big compound now. Her home was beautiful tall walls, clean rooms, silk curtains, and guards at the gate. She was no longer just a sister. She was now a woman of power, feared and respected by all in Amua. People called her Amaka the Blessed. She controlled land, trade, and even the Council of Elders. But she never spoke about Esen. Not once. Esen stood outside the gate. The guard stared at her, unsure if she was ghost or human. She looked thin, pale, but her eyes burned. "Tell her I'm here." Esen said calmly that the guards hesitated, then ran inside. Amaka came out slowly. She wore fine clothes, her skin glowed. She looked shocked, but she did not scream. She whispered, "You're alive." Esen stepped forward. "Yes, I am alive. And you have something to tell me?" They sat in the garden. The air was heavy. The silence between them was louder than any storm. "Why did you do it?" Esen asked. "Why did you leave me there? Did you never return?" Amaka looked away. Her fingers twisted the edge of her cloth. "I had no choice," she said. "I was afraid." Esen's voice shook. "Afraid of what?" Amaka looked down. "Of what people would say of Induka, of ... the secret." Esen stared at her. "You mean ... Ada?" Amaka's eyes widened. "You know, I saw the letter. I read his words. You came back with a child. A child that looks like me. A child you named after me." Amaka covered her face. Her shoulders shook. "She's your daughter," she whispered. Esen froze. The world around her became silent. "What?" she asked. "She is yours," Amaka said, voice broken. "Induka told me to take her, to say she was mine. Said people would believe it. He said no one would believe you. He told the village you were sick, that you were mad." Esen's breath caught in her throat. "So you helped him lock me away?" "I didn't want to," Amaka cried. "He said if I didn't, he would harm the baby. He said you were dangerous, that you were not well. He convinced me it was for your safety." Esen closed her eyes. Her heart broke all over again. "You were my sister," she said. "We shared everything. How could you take everything from me?" Amaka fell to her knees. "I'm sorry. I was weak. I didn't know how to fight him. And then, when I wanted to speak, it was too late. The village believed him. The council believed him. I ... believed him." Esen stepped back. "You believed him over me." "I was wrong," Amaka whispered. "I lost 2 years of my life," Esen said. "I lost my child. I lost everything." Tears rolled down Amaka's face. "I can't change the past. But Ada needs to know the truth, and you deserve her back." That evening, Amaka brought Esen into her home. And for the first time, Esen saw her daughter. Ada was playing with dolls. She looked up with big brown eyes, eyes just like Esen's. She smiled shyly. "Who are you?" she asked. Esen's voice was soft. "I'm someone who has waited a long time to see you." Ada tilted her head. "Are you my aunt?" Esen knelt down. "No, child. I am ... your mother." The silence that followed was holy. Ada blinked. She looked at Amaka, who nodded with tears. Then she looked back at Esen ... and she ran into her arms. Esen held her close. Her heart, broken for so long, began to heal. The woman the village had forgotten had returned, not as a prisoner, but as a mother, as a warrior, as a hero. Days later, the truth came out. The village elders learned everything. The chains were broken not just on the hut, but in the hearts of the people. They begged for forgiveness. Esen did not scream. She did not seek revenge. She simply said, "Let this never happen to another woman again." She opened a small house. Near the river, there, she helped other women. She told her story. She sang again. She laughed again. And Ada, her daughter, grew strong and wise, just like her mother.